This episode of Policing Matters is brought to you by Lexipol, the experts in policy, training, wellness support, and grants assistance for first responders and government leaders. To learn more, visit lexipol.com. That's LEXIPOL.com. There are so many crime novels out there, even true crime books and features. Some of your toughest cop heroes in our favorite series may be actually written by someone totally opposite of the figure in real life, like maybe a little old lady, at her keyboard. Actually, no one. Uh, you're listening to Policing Matters on policeone.com. I'm your host, Jim Dudley. Well, my guest today is a real life police sergeant with the San Francisco Police Department, my alma mater. And he's also an accomplished author, drawing on more than 2 decades in law enforcement. He shares stories and insights both on the page and on the street. Adam Plantinga began his career with the Milwaukee Police Department before joining the SFPD in 2008. Since then, he worked a wide range of assignments from foot beats to plainclothes, general felony investigations, and now internet crimes against children. He's also the author of 2 well-regarded nonfiction books, 400 Things Cops Know and Police Craft, as well as 2 crime novels, with a 3rd possibly on the way. Adam, welcome to Policing Matters.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're long overdue, and I hear stories about you from the people I still know at SFPD. You're stand-up sergeant, hardworking, good guy, little bit of a sense of humor. I've got 2 of your books. They don't show up on the blue screen, but I have them. I'm a fan and a big reader of yours. Let's start with a fun question about is life actually stranger than fiction?
I would say yes, frequently. Um, I I was reminded of that not too long ago when I was patrolling 16th and Mission, which is sort of ground zero for nonsense and lawlessness in the Mission District of San Francisco. And I saw a guy rolling by on a unicycle wearing a wolf mask. And I thought, if I put that in a book, people would think that's sort of unrealistic. But if you hang out at 16th and Mission long enough, that'll be maybe the 4th weirdest thing you see that day.
Yeah, well, you write about your experience in 400 Things Cops Should Know, and it's an older one. It's like 10 years old, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, I come across a couple of nuggets that you wrote, and I'm going to read actually a quick excerpt. You talk about your time in Vice and solicit. Well, you didn't solicit the prostitutes; they actually approached you. Hopefully, if it was a good case. But
Yes.
you write about this, and you write, quote, after my short stint in Vice, a vice lieutenant informed me not unkindly that I was one of the worst cops he'd ever seen at picking up street hookers. I reflected on that for a time before concluding that was fine with the assessment. It wasn't anything I really wanted to be good at. And I love the fact that you're actually educating the public when you write things like this, and with a little bit of sense of humor that I hope the public appreciates. Because I think in policing, we talk about on the show a lot, that I don't think we tell the public enough about what goes on in policing and then behind the scenes where we're human beings too. And there's some unpleasant jobs that we do in policing that we're expected to do, and we do them. Sometimes reluctantly, but you got to get the job done, especially a situation like that, where street workers, prostitutes, sex workers, whatever you want to call them, like can literally take over a neighborhood, and then you got to do something about it. You get the pressure from the
Hmm.
community, right?
Yeah, it's a huge quality of life issue, and it attracts a lot of outside crime too, robberies and so forth. But it was, I'm a minister's kid from Grand Rapids, Michigan. It was not a good fit for me. So, and they let me know which I appreciated.
No, but I'll bet you were actually good at it with that background that, you roll up not as a tough street guy brought up on the streets of San Francisco. You've got some, not naivete to you that probably comes through. Anyway,
Yeah.
you there goes your career in Vice.
Well, SFPD doesn't have a vice unit anymore anyway, so there are no openings there.
There. Okay. All right. Hey, you've got a full plate, a demanding career, a family. What pushed you to write and what keeps you coming back to it?
Yeah, so I grew up in a home full of books. I was a big reader. I was a library kid, and I was also an English major. Who, to paraphrase the words of uh, comedian John Mulaney, paid a fair amount of money to earn a degree in a language that I already spoke. So I wanted to use that English major both at work and off duty and on the job. It's when you're writing a police report, when you're correcting police reports, it's incredibly helpful. And then off duty just helped me sort of organize my thoughts and then just put them on the page, hopefully in a way that people would want to read. Uh, but to answer your last question, the switching from nonfiction to fiction, I sort of felt like I had said everything I wanted to say about police work, but I still had the writing bug. So I figured I'd turn to fiction and just kind of make stuff up. And turns out that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean your books get great reviews. A good friend of mine, and I know you know him, Dennis Bianchi, did a review of I think two of your books,
Yeah.
and he really liked them. We talk about the books, and we talked about you for a while. And when you went from 400 Things Cops Know to fiction, you made the shift because you thought you ran out of things to say about real policing. I know a lot of cops have a lot of stories, and we dream about putting them on the page. What got you motivated to sit down at a computer? And I guess you still hit the keyboard, right?
Yeah. I just, uh, there's so many things about the job that I find fascinating, and I thought the general public would find that interesting as well. So that's why I kind of wrote the nonfiction. And then with the novels, I've always been interested in sort of the classic kind of tough guy stories, the private investigator tales, everyone from Robert B. Parker uh, to James Lee Burke. I mean, those are sort of my writing heroes. So I wanted to just kind of throw my hat in the ring for that and see if I could put something together.
Yeah, I love James Burke as well. A time is tight between managing officers in your ICAC assignment, investigating crimes against children and home life. When do you write? When do you carve out time? How do you make it all work?
So I just take my laptop everywhere. I take BART to and from work, so I get some work done on BART. If I'm waiting to pick up my daughters from sports, I'm in the deep corner, scribbling a little. Uh, I've actually written a book chapter while we've been doing this podcast. That's not that's not true. But in in terms of making it all work, people ask me that question a lot, and I had sort of an epiphany recently. I am able to write novels because I don't play golf, and when you don't play golf, it opens up huge blocks of time in your evenings and weekends, and it's unbelievable. You can accomplish anything. So that's my secret.
Yeah, I've heard you say that before. I was waiting
Yeah,
for that.
yeah, there it is.
And I love golf, so
I know you do.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm going on a golf tournament tomorrow.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, so there are probably cops out there listening and saying, gosh, I do want to tell my own stories. What's your advice to a cop out there thinking about writing down their stories or, creating a novel? Where do they begin?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I guess my advice would be just start writing and let it rip, let it flow. And what you put down doesn't have to be perfect. and then you go back and revise. There's some advice I would really like from author Harlan Coben, who says you can fix bad pages, but you can't fix blank pages. So just get something down. Um, but if your goal is to be traditionally published, be prepared for a long road. It's sort of tough sledding out there. Um, but people are doing it. People are making it happen, and they may not be any of a better writer than you. So I found, I had some struggles early on, but I found that the experience is all the more satisfying if you really had to work to get there.
Yeah, for sure. And our experiences. So I know there's a lot of anthologies out there where you have authors seeking out cops to tell a story, putting them all together in a book. Have you done anything like that or thought about anything like that?
Yeah, I've I've read some of those and really admired them, and that's a good point. That's another way for maybe an officer to get their story out is if someone is doing an anthology. James Patterson put one out not too long ago, sort of a collection of stories from cops across the country that I'm eager to pick up. So yeah, I think that's a worthy endeavor.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many great stories out there. Hey, I want to talk a little bit about your real life experiences and how they may creep into your novels, if that's happening. But first, I want to take a moment and thank our sponsor. Lexipol empowers first responders and public servants to best meet the needs of their residents safely and responsibly. Serving more than 2 million public safety and government professionals in over 8,000 agencies and municipalities, Lexipol offers a range of solutions that includes policies, training, behavioral health resources, news and analysis, and grant assistance services for law enforcement, fire and rescue, EMS, local government, and other agencies dedicated to public safety. To learn more, visit lexipol.com. That's LEXIPOL.com. And we're back, and I'm talking with Adam Plantinga, police sergeant and writer, both of fiction and nonfiction. He's been successful. Everybody I know who's read his stuff loves his stuff. Adam, you're primarily a street sergeant, one of the best jobs in policing, in my opinion. I imagine you get some unforgettable materials from the folks you supervise. How often do those experiences make their way into your writing?
Yeah, this the sergeant's job is a great gig. Um, One of the parts I like about it is you still have a foot on the street, and you don't have to go to that many meetings. I'm not big on meetings, but I mean, my work experiences sort of provided the soul of my nonfiction books. But for my novels, my main character is an ex-cop from Detroit, so I've incorporated a lot of cop stuff in there. Everything from how to escape handcuffs to sort of the physiological effects that stress has on people to techniques that hostage negotiators use, and a lot of that stuff is just the stuff I've soaked up from my coworkers. I mean, law enforcement is such a rich ground for the writer.
Yeah, but you do your research as well. I know that because the last review I read of your book talked about the great detail that you go into describing firearms. How much of that is part of your writing?
Yeah, I mean, as a cop, you have sort of a basic understanding of firearms, but for instance, in my last book, there's a scene with a sniper rifle, and I'm not a sniper, so I just reached out to a buddy on the spec team who's a sniper, and just sat down with him, and he gave me some great stuff. So it's nice that I don't even have to pick up the phone. Sometimes I can just look over at the desk behind me and say, "Hey, tell me about this or that." I mean, there's so many resources there. Sometimes it feels like cheating.
Okay. Hey, when writing fiction based on real experiences, where's the ethical line for you? I see you on social media and you'll put something out, some real life event that happened, and put a spin on it. Uh, how do you balance authenticity with privacy and respect for the people involved? Do you have some of the people who maybe read the social media posts and say, "Hey, man, that was me. That's embarrassing," something like that?
Yeah, I try to be very conscientious about that stuff. Um, you know, when I'm writing or posting, my rule of thumb is I'm not looking to embarrass anyone other than myself. I'm fine with embarrassing myself. I would not reveal anything that could compromise an ongoing investigation. And if I'm going to name cops, especially my nonfiction, it's to spotlight some of the great work they've done. I mean, there's no shortage of that. Yeah, I'm not interested in sort of dishing dirt or doing a tell-all. I mean, someone else can do that if they want to, but um, I mean, I have had a good experience with SFPD, and I'm not looking to sort of put a put anyone in a bad light. They've been good to me, and I'm trying to be good to them.
Okay. So you talk a little bit about the fact just write, and that's what I tell students that I teach at university. Just write, just put something on paper. But you've got to have you gone to writers' workshops? Are there techniques? Are you recording your own voice? AI is into everything right now. Are you making storyboards and putting them up all over a room? You getting out the yarn and drawing lines to characters, things like that. What are you doing in particular that makes your novels successful?
I I probably should be doing more with yarn. I like that. I mean, some folks, there's sort of the classic uh, two approaches to writing is there's the people that plot stuff out, and then there's the people that sort of write from the seat of their pants. And I'm kind of in the middle. I usually have a general idea how the book is going to end, or how it's going to begin and how it's going to end, and then I just sort of fill in that tricky middle. But one of the things that I've really benefited from is I have an agent and editor who read over my rough drafts, and I have some writing pals that I bounce stuff off of, and they'll go through and find 50 ways to make my book better. So I would also encourage folks, find someone you trust who'll give you isn't just going to tell you what you want to hear, but it'll give you the straight scoop on your writing and what works and what doesn't, and just incorporate a lot of feedback. It can only make you better.
Okay. So, lastly, before, I want to ask you about your novel. So it's a series now, right? You've got a character going from Detroit and traveling beyond. I hear you might have a new novel coming out.
What you've heard is true. Uh, yeah, I'm working on a third novel, and it should be released sometime in 2026. The same character, it's a continuation of the series. I really enjoy writing them, so as long as they pay me to write them, I'm gonna keep at it.
Okay. And what are the adventures? He's a cop. Now he's a former cop. Is this like, tell us about it.
Yeah, so he's a former tech SWAT cop from Detroit, and in the first book called The Ascent, he gets sort of caught up in a riot in a violent private prison. In the second book, he is in a small town in Arizona, and he gets involved in some mayhem. And then in the third book, a lot of it's set in South Dakota because not enough books are set in South Dakota. So I figured I'd give them some airtime. But yeah, he's a sort of a tough piece of meat. He's very competent. Um, he has some decent one-liners, and so sometimes cops will come up to me and say, "Hey, you base him on me, right?" And I'll say, settle down. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, you've had some great endorsements from the late Joe Wambaugh in your earlier books to, I think Bill Bratton does an endorsement of one of your books. How's that happen?
Oh man, some of it's just sort of cold emailing, and then it's busy people being just generous with their time. I mean, I think a lot of established writers, I mean, they get so many blurb requests, I think, but I think a lot of them remember what it was like when they were first at the starting line. So the crime writer community I found to be incredibly generous in that way, and I've really appreciated that.
Yeah, great. All right. Well, I want to wrap it up. I appreciate the time you're taking with us today, and I hope you know, further success with the third novel. And I want you to consider your career, your law enforcement career, the impact that you're having on the officers under your watch, and appreciate what you do there as well.
Well, thanks. Thanks for having me on. I've enjoyed this, and remember you were my captain at the Central Station when I first came on, so that was a good memories.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. I hope you don't remember the reports I kicked back. They were awful. I like to think that I had a hand in your writing career.
You were right there at the beginning.
All right, Adam. Well, we're looking forward to seeing your next book. Adam Plantinga, police sergeant, investigator, and author. It's been a real pleasure having you on the show. Thanks for your time. And where can our listeners find your books?
I always try to direct people to their local independent bookstore. If they don't have it, they can order it. Otherwise, usually Barnes and Noble, or if they can order it online, or you can go down to the local public library. That's always an option too.
Yeah, well, that doesn't make you much money, but I appreciate
I'm all
that.
for the library.
All right.
Got to support.
All right. Well, thanks, Adam. And to our listeners, I hope you enjoyed the show. Drop me a line. And if you want to get in touch with Adam about your upcoming novel or nonfiction book, drop me a line at policingmatters at policeone.com. Policing Matters at policeone.com. And appreciate you checking in and listening or watching if you're on YouTube. And I hope to talk to you again real soon. Take good care. Stay safe.